What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the card table, where today we're going to be doing a kind of overdue, but not really, because the deck's still pretty relevant a couple months after the set was released. Deck video on Narukami. This is a build that I've been waiting to do for quite some time now, but I decided that we'll do it today because today is my little Coney's birthday, and she's my Narukami user. Coney, you want to say hi? Say hello to everyone. Yes, she is. Just my special girl. So she's 3 years old today, isn't she? We got you lots of prezzies. You had a cake earlier. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Coney. It's you, isn't it? Happy birthday to you. Okay, go get your cake. But Coney's my Narukami player because back when she was a little puppy, I'll flash a picture on screen right now. We were exploring through a bunch of comments and she decided to pick up a Narukami card. This is the Goddess Callie, which is double good because my first dog's name was Callie. Spelled a different way, but whatever. So yeah, she's a Narudoggo. Let me go ahead and flash all of our little sponsors down below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, as always, if you enjoy these kind of videos. But let's save the big shilling for later and go ahead and get started. Let's get started with our win condition. So for our grade 3s, we got 4 Gauntlet Buster Dragons and 4 Dragonic Descendants Eradicators. They're all Eradicators. I'm not going to say Eradicator every single time. Gauntlet basically gets power and a crit for every open rearguard circle, which means that typically you're going to be looking at a 22k triple whenever you wipe the field, but if you play against Axel, just the more circles they get, the more devastating he is. He's basically always a free PG or GG as long as you're able to keep an open front row, and you're going to do that. There's literally no point in Eradicators whether your opponent should have a front row. In addition to that, he could wipe the row himself by just counterblasting and discarding one, find the front row, bring up the rest if you want to. You can do some cute stuff with it. What's even cuter though is Dragonic Descendant, their new finisher, because he basically says that he could, number 1, has a restand, which is always good. I mean, counterblast 1, discard a card. Oh no, he stands with -1 drive check. There's 3 drive checks right there. Restanders are good. But the more important thing is that whatever he rides over, as long as it's an Eradicator, which it will always be an Eradicator in this deck, he copies the skills. So let's say you're going over Gauntlet Buster that we just talked about, suddenly he gets power and crit for every open circle, or like any other grade 2 that we'll talk about in a minute, he could also copy their skills. So there's a lot of cool things that you can do with Descendant, like even if you do have to ride him over himself, he could copy his own abilities, so you'd be able to retire more, and I don't know, have a double restand. Kinda good. Kind of good. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do with Descendant, and realistically, you basically just say, I'm gonna ride Gauntlet first, PG or GG, ride Descendant, PG or GG, you guard it, cool, let me do it again. And then Descendant, here's 3 restands, are you dead yet? Like, every turn this deck is a finisher, and it's hilarious. Now, in order to add consistency to the build, we have a lot of cards that let you search for Eradicators. Newsku here is one of them. When placed, you can just check your top 5 cards, search for an Eradicator at the hand, and then if you do, you discard 1. Neat! This is Vanguard or Rearguard, and this is Start Your Ride Chain for Ride Line. Oh god, this is already D before D started. But yeah, there's a lot of cool things that you can do with him, although the discard kinda sucks, which is why we run for Rising Phoenix. Phoenix, anyone who's ever played Narukami should know what this card does. You just, if a card gets bounced, bring it back up and he gets +3. Boom, is your 11k beater / booster numbers from a magical bird. A final grade 1 is kind of a tech of mine, but it is another Eradicator target, which helps you out for things like Newsku and a card I'll talk about in just a second. And that is Roaring Arm Eradicator Gasson. So he says that when any player's card is bound, choose one of your opponent's back row rearguards and move it to an open rearguard in the front row. It's super useful for things like Gauntlet and Descendant that let you move cards from the front row to the bind zone. So you can actually replace stuff and move things like the Vanguard booster that normally wouldn't be touched. So really useful tech, combos really well with all your bind removal. Finally, we got this big, weird, techie grade 2 lineups, and there's a lot to say here, so let's get down to it. Starting things off, there's a lot of built-in draw power in this engine. I'm talking things like Suhail, Guess, you can count Plasma Catapult because he's of his Vanguard skill, Spark Raised Dragon, I don't know, Zuitan. Once again, half those cards will also let you bind a card, so Suhail again, Plasma Catapult again, and Zuitan. That said, there are a lot of options in here because you have the ability to clone skills from Eradicators Descendant. So the 3 new cards in particular, the Suhail, the Spark Raised Dragon, and Plasma Catapult all have a Vanguard ability that you can use with Eradicators Descendant. On top of that, let's talk Spark Raise. So, you guys remember when I was talking about that little Linchu looking dude in the grade 1 section? He's that. Unfortunately, it's only on place for Vanguard, so it's not quite as good as his little grade 1 brethren, but he makes up for that by getting +5 for free and an on-hit ability on Vanguard and Rearguard that lets you draw a card. That's really, really good. Turbo's still in here, but only at 2? That's mainly because you use up a lot of resources now, like a lot of Counterblasts, a lot of Soul Blast, so him basically costing 2 Counterblasts to use both effects, not the best. Even if you just go for the restand, then you're only going to do it so many times because you're going to be using Counterblast on all your bind skills or on Gauntlet to make him huge, or your Descendant restand and stuff like that. It's really cute. When you get it, you get it. But realistically, even for placing things on Rearguard Circle, you're probably going to put a Zuhail there. So it's good, just not as good as it used to be. Run 2, you can run maybe a third over a Plasma Catapult or something like that, but whatever. Zuitan, I haven't mentioned him yet. He's really good. You play a Gauntlet, he gets to be a big boy, and then he gets to be a big boy. And he does power up your Rearguard ones too, so it's definitely a power card. Early game, you just get to draw a card off him for free. Not to mention he goes in Soul, so the combo of Spark Raise and other cards like Plasma Catapult that use Soul Blast, you refill a lot for that. It's good. You have a lot of resource management in this deck, but there's a lot of combo pieces to it, so you're constantly going around and doing stuff. Luckily, things like Spark Raise and the Grade 1 Linchu let you search for anything, so there's a lot of consistency as well. You just have small hands because you have to discard a lot. And speaking of hand size, I guess we should talk about triggers for a second. So in this build we go 6 draws, 4 fronts, 2 crits, and of course 4 heal triggers because I'm not playing Vermilion. So the reason I'm going with 6 draw is because you do, like I just said, have a lot of discard power. I just noticed that graphic's wrong. I'm not changing it. It should be 6 draws, not 4. It looks like we're on 18 triggers. Ignore that big blurb over it whenever I say 18 or 4 draws. I'm not fixing this. 6 draws because you do end up discarding a lot, so it's good to have that good hand size. 4 fronts because you are generating a decent number of attacks, but you do want to have surprise crits in there for your restand for their GG no return. Unfortunately, I think the front is more important than the critical trigger in this, so there's only room for 2. You could budget change around with that a little bit, but like I said, 6, 4, 2, 4 is pretty solid lineup. There is a little bit of playroom, but the draw is super important in here. So that's Eradicators in a nutshell. Should you play another Narukami deck instead, like Vanquisher or Vermilion? I don't know. I mean, they're all good in their own way, but like I'm True Blue, Eradicator only, Naoki Life, Break Time, let's go. So yeah, the answer is you'll only play Eradicator. Maybe Vermilion because it's final turn deck and it's super hilarious. I need to build that at some point. Like I was kind of hinting at, it's very much a tutorable deck with things like Nusku and Spark Raise that let you just check your top 5 for anything that's Eradicator. So because of that, you do want to run kind of a travel deck. There are some techs that you can run here and there, but like in general, you want to be as much Eradicator as possible because of that. And because of one of your boss cards having the ability to duplicate an Eradicator ability. So full Erad is pretty cool, not gonna lie. That said, there are plenty of other cute techs if you aren't afraid to whip on some of those kind of skills, so if you're able to do that, go for it. I guess my recommendations for grade 2, probably Martial Arts Dragon. I just toss him over there. Who says that you could, number 1, do another bind retire, whatever, but when any of your other units does not hit, he gains +5, so that really stacks up, especially with your high pressure attacks like Gauntlet Buster Dragon and Resands. So he's always good if you have grade 2 space. For grade 1s, I guess the 2 things I'd recommend, number 1, just your grade 3 Searcher if you want to run it, whatever, you're already tutored out the deck so you don't really need it, but fun little card, especially with Resands on things like Descendant, is Steam Desert Gunner Gaibon, who basically says after your Vanguard attacks, you can just give something +3 and the ability your opponent cannot call Sentinel. So with the Resanding Vanguard, that's great. You can do first one on Vanguard, then afterwards target Rearguard, or just like Zuitan that hasn't double attacked yet, something like that. There's a lot of cute things you can do with it. But like I said, you do want to be kind of tribal. As always, if you guys enjoy this kind of content, make sure that you subscribe for more Vanguard videos. I am trying out a couple things right now for Overdress that I look forward to posting, and possibly some more box openings more commonly in the future, because I know that like we just saw Freedom Duo post that ratios are not guaranteed anymore in Overdress, or at least from this first box, so like it'll be more fun to open product that way and kind of go on an adventure to build decks. Not to mention stock my store, check down below, TCG Player, sell stuff, help support the channel. I recently got a really cool mic that should be coming in sometime in the next few months, and I guess next is we gotta work on the desk and possibly some better lighting options, but things like that. Also supporting the channel, Raise Energy, pretty good energy drink. Use my code down below, Skyridge, to save 15% on all your online orders for that. It'd be pretty cool. I actually just started planning a theme park trip that I'll be doing in early June, so look forward to some videos from that. But until then, always embrace the infinite. If you guys made it to the end of the video, make sure you say happy birthday to Coney dog. She's 3 years old today.